Hey ladies, Amber here, your strategy specialist. One of the new members in our group wants to know how to manage and make more money. So our very first Zoom call will talk about managing money. And of course, as the program progresses, we will talk about making more money. But just to give you some action items and plant a seed now, I want to tell you that this day and age is really very exciting. It's changing quickly, and once upon a time, things that you needed degrees for or where there were barriers of entry to get into certain positions is going to be no more. And for those of you that are closer to my age, I think you are going to be shocked at what the future holds. Again, I'm really excited about it, but it is definitely a different game that we are going to have to play. Right? So it's not going to be, uploading these resumes and cover letters anymore. And again, this may be 2-3 years out, but remember, we're always staying prepared for any and everything. What's going to happen is social media is going to be our resume, right? So all of us are a brand. All of us are an asset, even if we are an employee. We have to start thinking about, even if we want to stay an employee, and 98% of people do, but there's going to be a transition where business owners, and I can say that emphatically because this is how I'm training my team. I don't want individuals to think like employees. I want them to think as entrepreneurs. And the only way employees, traditional employees, are going to be able to start thinking like entrepreneurs is if they either grab a course like this, to where that is fundamentally how we are going to communicate, or if they are fortunate enough to be within an organization that is supporting that type of culture, i.e. the CEO and the managers are creating a culture of entrepreneurs. What do I mean by that? Well, back in the day, we used to hire for, fill this role, fill this cog in the wheel. That's going to change too. I want people that can solve problems at a high level. I want to be able to, when I'm hiring for a position, not just say, here are the minimum qualifications. That's all going to go away very soon. It's going to be, here are the problems in our organizations. Here are the vulnerabilities. Here's where we want to improve. You tell me how you would handle all of these scenarios in detail. Not only as to whether you've handled these types of scenarios in the past, possibly apples to apples, or if you have not, how would you handle them? How would you think through these things critically? How would you problem solve with or without existing resources? Yes, those are the types of individuals that organizations are going to want to hire. It's going to change dramatically, and I want you guys to be on the cutting edge of that. And the way we do it is we start creating our online resume, showcasing our solving problem abilities, right? And everybody's different. Some of you may have some constraints as far as how private you have to be when talking about your day-to-day, right? And even many of the videos I have to shoot for my social media, I can't, I don't have consent, to tell the source of the story. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like the names and the dates have been changed to protect the identities of blah, 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 so you have to get really creative about it. But I will tell you this. If you start to do this work on the front end, when the change occurs, okay, you're already going to be very comfortable. So just like how when I had to start to change a few years ago and reinvent myself, I sweat when I get on videos. I couldn't talk. I couldn't find my voice. I wasn't sure if I should talk the way I really talk or talk the way people want me to talk. And I've gone through the whole thing. Again, that's why I tell you, I wouldn't ask you to do something that I haven't done myself. But having these links, whether it be, and you don't even have to throw them up publicly, right? These are archives that you can do for yourself. You can have your YouTube channel, start shooting videos as to how you've solved problems and done some amazing things in your organization. Or if you're not yet comfortable with video, I can give you some templates on how to showcase your core competencies, right? And you can start to write somewhat of like your own case studies and have them on file. So just imagine that instead of a resume, right, that just talks about this 5-year period that you worked for an organization and you're having to keep things very simple. Again, I can share with you how many of us, i.e. people who are working for themselves and having to contract, right, how we're showcasing our abilities. Also, please note, individuals who want to leave corporate America or corporate America as a W-2 employee, you do know that these individuals, and I know many of them, have left their organization as a W-2 employee, circled back, are now filling the same role as a contractor, but don't have to follow all the rules that they used to have to follow when they were a W-2 employee, i.e., dates and times of when they had to show up, meetings, and so forth, right? So they have high negotiating power. They have larger negotiating power for compensation, and they're running the show. They're dictating the pace of the relationship. So that is how, whether or not any of you deploy this ultimately or not, that is how I want you to start thinking. It's a huge mind shift, okay? Especially for those of you who are approaching 40. We have been raised to be little good doers, right? Little miss follow the rule, little miss do what's told. You remember the interviews. Sure, I'll take any shift. I'll do whatever you ask. I'll cartwheel and back handspring and throw glitter in the air. That's how we're wired. And organizations have really taken advantage of that. Not to say, that we go completely rogue, like some of the younger ones, with the Great Resignation or what have you. But I think we need a happy medium. And I know many, and when I say many, 2, 3, handfuls of people that have done this from ages 27 to 42. And I have watched their journey. I've documented it, so I can tell you step 1, step 2, step 3. And what I'm conveying in this message are those steps, right? So I'm gonna, close this video out. I've given you some food for thought. I will accompany this video with a few links for your review. And just remember, change, this mindset change, you're going to have to be curious. You're going to have to be curious. It's going to be additional work. It's going to be uncomfortable. But if you lay this solid foundation, when the opportunity presents itself, and if you get on top of this right now, you could have a really good presence, a really good, and again, I'm pushing you for an online presence, but if you're not yet comfortable with that, fine. But we can do, like I told you, some case studies, some other fancy things, right, to showcase your, specific area of genius and how you have contributed to the organizations that you've been in, right? A little more detailed than a resume, but not, too off-putting, right? Because again, we're all learning. We're learning, organizations are learning, and we all have to be kind of open-minded and pliable. But those who are going the extra mile to think outside of the box and to really showcase themselves, it's going to be, a home run when that opportunity presents itself. And you're going to go, I'm so glad I did it. So one more thing to consider too is, yes, it is going to take some time. It may take a couple subscriptions. It may take an extra $35, $40, $60 a month for some type of graphic or hosting, not saying spending a ton of money, okay? But there is going to be an investment of time and a little bit of money, right? To have this, box of credentials, if you will. And, but when you get what you're going after, i.e. the compensation or the job, I guarantee you it'll be 10 times what you're doing now, what you're investing now. And, please feel free to keep track of that, and say, look, I'm investing this amount of time, this amount of money to, create this. magical online presence or what have you, or to make myself uber competitive and, get that total. And then once you start deploying it and once you get what you want, you'll see that what I said was true.